Hey everybody, welcome back. Change your perspective, change your awareness, change your life. I'm Dr. Michelina, leadership consultant, specializing in mindset, identity, self-awareness, and communication. Today, we are continuing our conversation on main character energy. How do you get into main character energy? What does that look like? Why do you want to get into it, right? Main character energy, what it is, what it looks like, is you in control of your decisions and of your life. Okay, you are making the calls, you are carrying things out, you're calling the shots. Too many of us, obviously, are in side character energy. We are not in our main character energy. And so what side character energy is everybody else dictating your life for you, right? The side characters move around the main character. So if you're a side character, you're moving around, you're making your life in conjunction with somebody else's rules and decisions. Not gonna work. Main character energy is I'm doing what I want in my way, in my time. So I want to talk about a very, 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 very important topic today to get you in main character energy, and it is space. Okay, space. I talked about this yesterday. Yesterday, we've only got so many resources, right? We've got time, energy, attention, money, information, space. Those are things that we have at our disposal to bring forward or keep back and keep ourselves in like kind of control of a situation. Okay. Now I will just tell you that everything is fighting for those resources that you have. Main characters know this and use their resources to their benefit and really well, right? So one of the ones that's super important, and it kind of blankets everything else, is space. Okay. We are very uncomfortable with distance. We are very uncomfortable with giving people enough. This is kind of a morbid saying, but I always liked it. I guess that doesn't say much about me, but give people enough rope and they'll hang themselves. I know it's kind of morbid, but it conveys the point that if you let people do what they're going to do, they will face a particular outcome, right? So when we are thinking about space, taking our space, giving space, taking up space, we know main character energy here, right? Main characters know when it is time to move towards something or move away from something. So I'll give you a very easy example of taking space. Separating from your phone. Your phone does not own you. The people on your phone do not own you. If you have no ability to be without your phone, you are not good, I already know, at space as a concept. You are at everybody's beck and call all the time. Getting good at space also gets good at time, energy, and attention. Okay, so when you get really good at taking your space, you also get very disciplined on where you give your time, who you give your energy to, and who you give your attention to. Now, again, I'm always going to say parents are somewhat exempt from this, okay, especially 0 to 5, because your kid is taking your time, energy, attention. There is no space. They're up in your way. Like this is a hard thing to implement for parents. This can also be a hard thing to implement for pet owners, right? Like physically, you can see my pet right here. She's always trying to be in my space. And so physical space. Now, we don't think enough about space. We don't think enough about the not being close to the people that we care about, the people that we love. There is an important thing here. If you get too close to anything, you will suffocate it. If you are too much all the time with a person, place, or thing, you will suffer. That's suffocation energy. That's not live and let live, grow and let grow energy. If you're trying to plant something in the ground and you're constantly hovering over it and trying to like do all the things, you will overwater it. You can pay too much attention to a thing. You can be too close to a thing. There's a give and a take with all these resources: time, energy, attention, money, space, and information. Now, how do we get good at giving space? If you are like, I don't know how to do this, let me tell you the way I had to learn it, because I had to learn all of this stuff the hard way. None of this stuff came to me easily All of it was learned, all of it. Sorry, I just want to move the window out of the frame. Puts lighting in weird. I had to learn all of these things. Anything I'm talking to you about was a hard lesson. I don't get, some people really do get like instant downloads and they just show up differently. And I'm not the one. That doesn't happen to me because I have to like go through the hard thing, process the whole thing, tell everybody how I did it so that there's a practical way that they can do it too. And it works because I've done it and I know that. Right. What kind of a coach am I if I'm just like, okay, so this is how this happened for me. And it was like 1 minute I'm here and 1 minute I'm here. And it's like, if I can't tell you how to get from X to Y, then so let me tell you how to get from X to Y. Let me tell you how to get good at space. Small steps first. The first thing I did was purposefully and intentionally delay my responses to the people reaching out to me on my phone. That was a very tricky thing to do because what ends up happening is like you look at your phone, you see the notifications, you put it down intentionally. You give yourself 5, 10, 15 minutes to finish up whatever you're doing because 9 times out of 10, we are doing something else. Something comes in, a person, a text, a thing, and it takes our attention and focus away from what we were doing. Now, if you really want to get good at space, you could put your entire like phone on work mode, right? If you really want to get good at space, when someone comes to you and says, hey, like, do you have a minute? You can say, actually, I don't have a minute right now. Come back in 25, right? That is an actual example of what taking space looks like. It is pulling yourself away from whatever demanding thing is coming at you, right? And this is the thing I always used to say, like, proximity does not equal priority, right? People who are close to you don't necessarily become your priority. Again, children do not count here. But like, just because your coworkers are in your sphere does not make them a priority to what you're working on in any given moment. Right? If you do not defend your space, nobody's going to. Everybody's going to come on in it. I will tell you right now, everybody now knows, with the exception of maybe 2 people, if you do not schedule a call with me, you ain't talking to me. I'll watch it go. I'm like, nope, they didn't schedule, not talking to them. And so it is literally like, I am not at your beck and call. I don't pick up just because you're calling me. Sorry, not sorry. There are people where I'm like, oh, this might be emergency or this, that, or the other thing. But for the most part, like, I'm like, no, protect my space, protect my peace. The answer is no, especially when you have text messages, right? The other thing that's super important communication wise is if it's not like a physical interaction, which is to say a real time us speaking interaction, it is not meant to be answered right away. We have gotten into this very bad habit of, I see an email, I answer an email. I see a comment, I answer a comment. I see a message, I answer a message. No. In fact, the better thing to do, especially if you're like emotionally triggered, is to see the message and go and take some space to think about how you want to respond. This is main character energy. It's not reactive. You do not have the power to make me show up a different way than I want to show up. Right. So like, I used to have to do this. Now I don't. But when I was learning, I had to do this. I would see a rude comment. And my first thing, I want to, come on, guys, I'm fiery. Okay. I want to cut somebody down to size like I do, like, all right, F this. But what do? You're not going to make me that person. Okay. I can be that person. I'm not going to be that person. What I'm going to do, see it? Okay. I'm not going to take this personally. I know this is on them. I'm going to put my phone the heck down. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to process. I'm like, okay, let's think this through. How am I feeling? Obviously, I'm upset about this. Why am I upset about this? Where might they be coming from? Process, process, process. Okay, now I'm okay. Let me come back to this with a cooler head, right? Cooler heads prevail. And I will show up the way I want to show up, which is 9 times out of 10 in a teaching position, right? Main character energy. What did I do? I took space. I took space. Taking space is not a scary thing when you're not afraid to hang out with yourself. People who do not know how to hang out with themselves think that taking space is like a very scary thing. So they distract, they like talk to this person, that person, blah, blah, blah. They're all up in the mix, yada, yada. No, that's side character energy. You don't see a side character out of the company of the main character 9 times out of 10. All right. Main character, you see what they're doing behind the scenes. You see what they're doing in their personal life. They spend time alone. We get the angle on them when they're just kind of hanging out alone. Whereas side characters are always in the proximity of someone else. They don't know how to be alone because they don't have a story. Stop being the side character in your life. Be the main character in your life. So take space. This is the best way to do it. I'm just going to tell you right now, here's the best way. If you're feeling some kind of, I'm going to say negative emotion, instead of doing the thing that you want to do, which is pulling closer to the thing that upsets you, or rather the thing that you allowed to upset you, do the exact opposite and walk the other way. Exact opposite. I say this a lot, and this isn't from me, actually. I don't know where I got this from. When you want to go fast, force yourself to go slow. I used to do this when I was giving speeches. Believe it or not, I used to have intense stage fright. You never believe it now, obviously, because like now I love a crowd. I'm like here for it. Give me an audience. But 20 years ago, I did not. I got super embarrassed. My face used to get all red. My chest used to get all blotchy. You wouldn't catch me wearing something like this. To some degree, I still do get like that red. You can't always help that reaction. But what I used to do in my speeches was build in spaces where I forced myself to slow down, force myself to look up. And I would write it in my notes like, look up, big bold, look up, look around, breathe, slow. Like I would put cues to myself. If you want to get good at taking your space and you want to get good at main character energy, you're going to want to put in like cues to yourself, internal cues to yourself. Like take anybody you know upsets you. We all have those people in our lives. We just do. And it's usually people. It can be a thing. Like if somebody cuts you off in traffic, that might be a thing that really upsets you. I don't know. But for the most part, it's people. Because we all, people bring out the best and the worst in us. So if you know you're always reacting a certain way to Diana at work, right? If you want to get into main character energy and you decide how you want to show up, you're not going to let her nonsensical BS bother you in the way it used to. You're going to look at it. You're like, okay, normally, right? This is self as author, not self as character, self as author. You come out of yourself, you give yourself that space and you're like, okay, what I would normally do here is roll my eyes and go talk crap about her to my coworker. What I'm actually going to do here is go take a walk and have a conversation with myself about why I'm upset right now. What is it about her that upsets me? Why am I so frustrated, right? Taking space doesn't have to be an advanced practice, but I'm just trying to give you different places where this might play out in your life, like legitimate scenarios where you want a different approach. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You need to be the one to change how you show up in X, Y, or Z situation. And so that can be a lot of different things. I've done all of these things. They all are tools that I have done. One of the hardest being like seeing and not responding. Because you're like, I don't want to forget. I want to say something now. I've got plenty of thoughts on this, but it is a important mentality to have. That is, and if you want to be an entrepreneur, a necessary mentality to have, that you don't have access to me right now. It's not I'm too good. It's not I'm too busy. It's not I'm too important. It's that I am focused and I'm not giving you the power to take my focus away from what I'm focusing on. It's main character energy, right? And so when you get good at that mentality, you are getting more in your power space, in your main character energy space. It's like, it's not an arrogant thing. It's not an arrogant thing. It's not like, I'll get to you when I get to you. Like I'm too important. Like I'll deal with this when I feel like dealing with this. It's not that. It's acknowledging, okay, this thing is here and I will deal with it, but right now it is not the priority I want to focus on. To get to that space, you have to know your priorities. You have to be good at focusing. It's a lot of skills that need to be developed. Having had to develop most of them, I know it's not always the easiest thing. It is an important thing for getting everything that you want out of your life. And so main character energy, taking your space, giving space. Oh my God, I only just talked about taking your space. Oh, there's so many things I can talk about with space. Let me quickly cover the other two. Giving space is like, you do you. Okay, I'll check back in with you in a little bit. Okay, listen, this is what I need. I'm going to check back with you in like 3 hours. It's giving people the space, right? Or if you're in a meeting, good leaders know how to do this. Good teachers know how to do this. It's called wait time. Okay. If I ask you a question, you haven't even had time to process it yet. So if I'm like, okay, where do we see, or no, what do you think about the price of tea in China? I don't know. I'm going to give you time. I'm comfortable with silence. I'm going to give you time to think on it. I'm not going to fill the space. You've been in meetings like this. You've been in conversations like this. The art of space is the art of silence, is the art of the pause. The art of giving space, the art of taking space. That is the art of being comfortable with the quiet. We're not comfortable with that until we train ourselves to be. The art of communication knows when to speak and when to stay silent. And so giving people space is also giving people time to consider or to do or to show up. Giving people space. It's like, okay, yeah, hey, do what you need to do. It's very relaxed energy, very comfortable. Taking your space is a whole different topic I can't even get to right now. But taking your space is knowing when to speak up, when to make an issue, when this is worth my time and energy. Taking your space, right? It's like taking up the room that you're supposed to take up. This is a very hard thing for people to do. Very advanced study I won't get into right now. The first thing that you can get good at is taking space. Taking space is easier than giving space and taking up space, right? And look at that difference I'm showing you here with my body. Taking space, I'm removing myself. Giving space, I'm giving you what I've already given to myself. Taking up space, I'm expansive. You see? Main character energy, super, super important. Space is an important resource that we always underutilize. Constant underutilization. It's the hardest thing to kind of like, space and information are very hard resources to wield well. Money, also hard. They're all difficult, but money's an easy thing to conceptualize because it's tangible. Tension, energy, they kind of go hand in hand. Time, we don't do well with. Main character energy is very good at regulating all of those things. It's just a practice. Everything's a practice, right? So I could probably talk about all of this a million times over. If this is a new concept to you, by all means, start experimenting with it. It's very important. It's very interesting. If this series is helpful to you, if you like it, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, like the channel, et cetera, et cetera. And I think maybe we're coming to the close. I might do another one or two, but we're coming to the close of main character. We'll move into a new series sometime probably midweek. But appreciate you being here. Hope this is really helpful, and I will see you guys on the next video to help you change your perspective, change your awareness, and change your life.